Hello, amazing souls. Welcome to the Soul Vibe Insights Podcast, a show to demystify the soul, intuition, and the Akashic Records. We know a thing or two about the ups and downs of being on a spiritual growth plan and how to find the higher perspective, even when it seems like there isn't one. I'm your host, Maddie Hollingsworth.
And I'm your host, Emily Pearl. We've been professional intuitives and energy healers for over 20 years now. We believe each of us are on a unique path of growth and learning, and our intuition is meant to be our guide. The problem is, most of us have never learned how to use it. That's where we come in, helping you discover how your intuition works and the lessons your soul has chosen to learn in this life is what we're all about.
All right, y'all, let's jump right into today's show. Hey there, amazing souls, and welcome to today's show. We're going to dive in and cover some common signs that you have past life karma.
What you working with? Past life karma.
Or as Em like to call these things, you have a past life hangover. You have an energy from the past that is hung over into your life now, and it's having an effect on your life in a way that is potentially holding you back, or more than potentially, it is holding you back.
Yeah, it almost seems like a block, like you're up against a wall, you're like, why can't I just break through? Ah! Hello everyone, welcome.
And quite often it defies logic. You know, you'll be racking your brain trying to figure out what's going on, and there's not really a logical reason for what is happening in your life and why it's happening in your life. And that's because its roots aren't in your lifetime. They come from something before.
Indeed. So we're going to start off by talking about like some situations that you could commonly be experiencing that you may or may not be aware of. Then we'll go into 5 signs that you do have past life karma.
We'll drop some examples and some ways to kind of understand how that is potentially showing up in your life. Only you know what your life is like or how it's gone. We're just trying to give examples to inspire you when you're kind of putting on that lens of, let me check out my past. What's been going on? I can see where that fits in potentially for what's happening here, but my situation's a little different. That's all we're trying to do, is to give you some examples and inspire you to kind of put the pieces together.
Oh yeah, I mean the actual situations and the motivations for anyone they're going to be limitless. There's, infinite amount of combinations that could play out. But I do think there's like some common themes that may, pop up for people.
We're trying to hit on some of those for sure.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Definitely for those of you that have past life karma, these scenarios, these themes that are happening in your life are happening so you can become aware and then do something about it. So we want to inspire you to be self-responsible, to be empowered. This isn't a disempowering thing, because once you're aware, then you can do something about it. Then you can seek guidance or healing on your own, and you can correct these energies. And then your life can shift and transform because you've taken the power back. You're the one that's in more control now. And we definitely want to inspire you to feel empowered when you dive in.
Yes, absolutely. You are the creator of your life, and you have the power to make changes, to heal, to bring into awareness anything that comes up for you. You have the power to forgive. I'm not saying that you can be okay with what happens, but you can choose to forgive and let go. And that is completely in your control. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying it's in your control.
Well put, honey. So some common ways that you would experience past life energies, but you may not quite be aware that that's really what's happening. One of the first ones would be that you've experienced something in a past life, and now you're here to experience the opposite of that. That scenario, those physical actions, you could have done something in a past life, and now the reverse is happening to you in your life now. And you just may not be aware that it's happening for a reason. Typically the big events in our life, the soul has kind of made a plan to have these experiences and to draw them up. and quite often the closest people to you, your close friends and your family, whether you've grown apart through your life, a close friend from earlier in your life or someone close now or a family member, quite often we choose these people to be close to us, to help us, sometimes teach us, or to grow with us, or to learn from. Sometimes we might be the ones teaching them by bringing certain actions in their life too. Our roles are multifaceted, but quite often the ones closest to us, the ones that we feel the most joy with and maybe get hurt the deepest by, they're there for a reason, and those things are happening to bring awareness to you.
Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes the lessons aren't such a easy pill to swallow, but with awareness, you can definitely make it a little bit easier, like smooth it. I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
Well, for me, the actions and being involved in certain things, I mean, it doesn't make it any better. That scenario might have sucked. Living through that might have been as Emily put it, a tough pill to swallow, even on review. But having the awareness that that is actually for our good, even though that might have sucked really bad. But on the opposite side of that experience, with the awareness, could be healing and growth and transformation. So there is a potential empowerment that can come from a situation that might have been a tough pill to swallow, for sure.
Totally. And so the second way it could play out is limited beliefs or negative thought forms that you take on or you reinforce through previous experiences that happen, and you aren't able to move past them because you keep telling yourself something about the way it went down. Like basically you made someone else's actions mean something about you, and then you keep reinforcing that in your energetic system, and then it can carry over to a future incarnation. You can carry them to future incarnations if they aren't brought to awareness. And we're going to go into a little bit more in depth about some of those specific limited beliefs and negative thought forms.
And one way to kind of know if you've got some limiting beliefs, what are the stories you tell yourself about yourself and potentially other people? What is your internal dialogue like? Is there a certain theme to it? Because this could definitely be negative thought forms from the past or a limiting belief that you've carried over from the past at play within your own psyche. And when you think about your family and your upbringing and your experiential knowledge within the family unit growing up, quite often we will choose families that will help teach us these same belief systems. That it's in the generational karma within the family too, so we can be taught this to then overcome it. So that's a couple ways you can kind of view what's happening in your life, your internal dialogue, or what your family's upbringing is like, to see potentially if you have maybe some limited beliefs there and bring awareness to something you may be unaware of.
Yeah, and another way it could be passed along through your future incarnations is through the thoughts that you have during your death in the previous life.
Oh, that's huge, yeah.
For example, you were to die in a way of betrayal or some sort of accident, and then there's like that confusion, and you may have that confusion in your next life because you're like, what the hell just happened? Or if there was like a betrayal, you could like literally have this negative feeling towards someone and have no idea where it came from or why.
Yeah, that same soul could be in your life now, and you would not know why you can't trust them or why these underlying negative theme is there between you, especially if there's no proof in this life that you should feel that way, but you feel that way, and there it is.
And I mean, it could even be not quite as traumatic as your death scene. It could be something like they betrayed you in a different way, like in a relationship or, some other way. And then you just have those negative feelings. You're like, I don't know. I just don't like that person.
Right, yeah. I don't get a good vibe from them.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's a good segue to the last one of these things that you may or may not be aware of is that there could be programming from a past life vow that can turn into almost like a contract that is still running in your future incarnations. So this program, this vow, this contract that was made is still running now in your life. They tend to usually be made in very heightened emotional moments. Emily was getting at the fact that, this could be something on a deathbed. This could be something else, but it's usually a very heightened moment when you declare, I will never something, or I will only something. We're going to get into some specifics here with this, but these are the few ways that you just may not be quite aware of how the past life karma or energy is at play here. So we just kind of wanted to point that out in a more generalized way before we get into, I think, what we think of as the 5 most common signs that you've got past life karma.
Yeah, because it can't be the only signs, but definitely the most common for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move into the 5 signs. You want to take the lead, babe? Do the first one?
Sure. So the first sign that you may have past life karma is that you find it really difficult to manifest your desires, or you keep manifesting something different than what you want. And you're just like, what the hell? That's kind of like it, but not quite. It's just not it. Some reasons for this could be you may have a limited belief hangover, like, oh, my dreams, I don't get to have my dreams. Happiness, I don't get to be happy.
Happiness is for other people.
Yeah, or we don't get to have those types of things in our family, or my dreams aren't possible, or it never works out for me, or I'm just unlucky. I mean, there's a plethora of different limited beliefs that could be at play here. And when you have those beliefs, you're literally working against yourself. You can do all the mantras, all the things that, the law of attraction teaches you, but if in your subconscious you're thinking, my dreams aren't possible, my dreams aren't possible, my dreams aren't possible, then you're not going to make your dreams possible. And so it's just basically this energy that just works against you at all times. And so for you to be able to start manifesting what it is that you exactly want, then you'll have to heal these limited beliefs.
Absolutely. And a big part of manifesting is your mindset. And even if you are aware that you've got these limiting beliefs at play, where my dreams aren't possible, and yet you're trying to manifest your greatest dreams for your life, but if you don't understand that it's karmic energy that is supporting these limiting beliefs, everything you're trying to do to change your mindset could be for naught, because you're not working at the level of the karma, of that energy there to make the change, to get the awareness why that is even in place in the first place, to then be able to shift the mindset and start to have an easier time or a better time or a more productive time with your manifestations that you're working on. Because like Emily said, you could just really be working against yourself here. But you've got to get to the level of the karma, if the karma's there, to balance that, to shift the belief and the mindset. You could be trying to manifest a loving partnership, but you made a vow in a life because you were really in love with somebody, and you made a vow that I will only ever love you. I'll love you forever. No one else will ever do. It's only you that I'll love. And you take that with you into the next life. Well, if you don't have that same soul with you, how do you really expect to truly give yourself to someone else and have that loving partnership if you made a vow to only love someone else? I mean, talk about your horse blinders for one in 8 billion. That's a serious needle in a haystack right there.
Yeah, and we found that there are definitely soulmates. I mean, I definitely feel like Maddie and I have a very strong soulmate connection, but I can't say for certain that he's the only soul ever that is my soulmate. So I'm sure we've had different soulmates in different lives as well. And so I can only imagine that's why we have such a deep love, because we have had some practice.
I absolutely agree. It's hard for me, Maddie the human, to think I could have a different soulmate than Emily, but I know deep down on a soul level that I've shared a deep, loving connection with others while I'm here on the earth plane.
La, 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 la. I'm just kidding.
That does resonate for sure with me. And I can accept Emily saying that and not get super jealous and like, where's he at? Where is she? Let me know. I'll get him now. Like, none of that's going on.
Well, we know what we have now.
Yeah.
And we know that we continue to choose it every day. And that's what...
I sure do. I love you.
Love you too.
Something that a lot of people are trying to manifest is financial abundance. That's a big one in the manifesting world. But you could have had a life of immense poverty, and you just can't shake that that's normal.
Or you actually took a vow of poverty as a monk or a nun or some sort of religious authority.
Yeah. That it wasn't something that you can't shake. It's you vowed that. Your soul made that vow in
before
a religious
God,
context.
So it was like very emotional and very strong and very set in.
Something else you could have experienced or been on the giving experience for others of misuse of financial wealth. And you didn't like how that felt and you vowed just not to have it. So you would never do that. You'd never abuse having the financial wealth to manipulate and control others.
Yeah, so that's kind of tied with like power as well.
Yeah.
So you may have misused your power when you were financially wealthy, and so therefore you could have made the vow to never treat people like that again. But then because you made that strong vow, I mean, you can definitely become wealthy without having control. But if you're having trouble with that power aspect, then you may associate it with the wealth.
Have you ever heard anybody say, money's the root of all evil? What if you carried that belief around?
Yeah.
Or you grew up in a household that things like that were said? Absolutely. There's a plethora of reasons and potentials for how these things could work out that could be inhibiting you manifesting your desires, or you're actually manifesting something different than your desires. So that's just a few ways that it could show up in your life, but food for thought. So the number 2 sign that we commonly see pop up is there's some sort of heavy emotion that you just can't shake that feels like a block toward achieving your goals. Something that we think happens often is intense loneliness.
Like even in the presence of others, there's still this loneliness, like this feeling that nobody gets you or you're completely misunderstood. And it's just this very deep loneliness.
Yeah, you could have really strong feelings of unworthiness. No matter what feedback, no matter how loving your friendships and family life was, you could just always have this deep down feeling of unworthy.
And you're only willing to be loved at the level at which you're willing to accept love.
And I would say even that you're willing to love yourself.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, I think that's part of accepting the love too.
Absolutely.
And that's part of feeling worthy of the love.
Another big one is fear of abandonment. This could have happened in a past life. Somebody abandoned you and it hurt so much. You'll believe that it's what you deserve or that it's going to happen again, and you'll carry that over with you. And quite often this is something that's not in your control. Maybe a parent left when you were really young, and that's where it came from. Maybe a lover bailed when you needed them the most. But a fear of abandonment and holding on to that can make it hard to open up fully with other people. Open up towards your goals.
Well, I feel like we should backtrack just quickly and say the feelings of unworthiness or the intense loneliness, those could be negative thought forms that have been passed through. Because if you did have maybe a lifetime where you were by yourself a lot, and so you just feel that deep within, and then you tell yourself you're misunderstood or nobody gets me, then that could definitely carry over, as well as the unworthiness. I mean, if something were to happen, or if someone were to treat you very badly, and then you can take on those feelings of unworthiness, thinking, if they hadn't have done that to me, then I would be more worthy, or they would never have done that to me if I were more worthy. But that's a limited belief, because you cannot control the actions of others. So I just kind of wanted to make that clear, that those are kind of negative thought forms, that the more and more that you reinforce it, and the more and more emotion that you have, like when you repeat that to yourself, then it becomes more solid in your energetic field. I mean, it literally like becomes weight within your field.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you're stacking energies, you're taking your mental energy, your emotional energy, you're using your words out loud and vibrating with your voice into the physical. You're taking 3 forms of energy and reinforcing a negative thought form over and over and over again. It can definitely become solid and rooted in your energetic bodies and can carry over as a hangover. Negative thought form hangover into your next life, for sure. Thanks for backing us up just a moment and adding another level of clarity to that. Something we hit on in the last one is abuse of power. And in this case, a block towards achieving your goals could be a fear of stepping into your power, of owning who you are. And this very well could come from a misuse of power in a past life.
It could also come from spreading truth, being someone who knew something that got them killed, or knew something like a secret that people turned on them for and wouldn't believe them, or something of that nature. So you could be scared to own your own truth or step into your personal power because you're afraid of other people lashing out against you.
Yeah, the repercussions that came to you in the past life, absolutely. Yeah. Or it's a misuse of power that you did, and you don't ever want to be abusive like that again. I know for me personally, that was one I had to work through myself. Was some of my karma I was experiencing in this life came from misuse of power in my past. And that has been, or was, a theme in my life, not stepping fully into my authenticity, my own power, my own truth. Definitely something I had to work to correct and heal and bring balance to in my life. All right, babe, let's move on to number 3.
So the third sign that you may have past life karma are events that have reoccurring themes. Like the event or people may change, but the energy or theme seems to remain the same. And this could be you have multiple partners cheat on you in your relationships. And it's just like, why does this keep happening? Because, I mean, that's just fucked. And the more it happens, it really kind of bears on your soul, and it really hurts. And so then you start limited beliefs, and you start reinforcing that always happens, and then it's, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and then it continues to happen. And another one could be that your partner always leaves when there's a challenge.
No one's willing to work on a relationship with you.
Oh, yeah. They're like, oh, they just leave. Whenever I try to share my needs, so I have to stuff my needs down in order to have someone love me or to care about me. A lack of respect.
That's something I have dealt a lot with in my own personal life myself. I do have respect as my main life lesson, though, so it is a big theme in my life anyways, but I have found that I had past life energy that carried over, and respect was always an issue. And for me personally, I found the big awareness I came to was it was mirroring my own self-respect or self-worth. That I was having disrespectful or unrespectful situations in my life coming at me that was trying to bring attention to how I felt about myself on the inside. The level at which I had respect for me was the level at which I could receive respect. And until I worked on that, I wasn't seeing shifts in the outside world. And when I did start to work on my self-worth and self-respect, I started to see more respect coming my way.
The next one's a big one. Every time something good happens, all you do is realize that something bad is right behind it. Like you can't even enjoy something good when you know that the opposite is coming.
When's the other shoe going to drop?
Oh yeah, that's a big saying. Or feeling more comfortable when things are bad because you know they can only get better. Instead of just celebrating the good when the good is happening, and then doing your best to cope in a healthy manner when the so-called negative things are happening.
But these become, Emily mentioned it before, kind of a self-serving prophecy. So if your belief is something good is happening, or something good happens, but you believe in the catch-22, or life's ups always come with downs. I mean, life on earth is a mixed bag. It's up and down anyways. We all go through that. But if we sit there and believe, oh, something good's happening. Oh God, what's coming around the corner? What awful thing is about to happen? Because something good always comes with something bad. That's just how it is. Well, then how can anything but something bad come to you when you've experienced something good?
True. I mean, if all you're focused on is the bad things, even when good things are happening, then yeah, that's all anything ever is.
If that resonates with you, I would challenge you to take up a gratitude practice every day. When you get up, before you go to bed, name 3 things you're grateful for. Try to flip that perspective into thinking about the happy, thinking about the grateful. Start to focus more on that. Life's up and down. There's a chance that there's a down coming because it could come for all of us, but don't attach to the fact that it has to come.
Well, and I think too, you can celebrate when those good things happen and be fully in that celebration. Like be present in that celebratory moment and know that you deserve to celebrate that good thing that's happening. That you're worthy of that. You're worthy to allow yourself to just feel good when good things are happening.
That's well put. Celebrate the good. Absolutely. All right, let's move on to number 4. Certain relationships in your life never change. No matter how much effort you put into them, or how little you put into them, or the growth you go through, the transformation that you're experiencing, and then thus putting effort into these relationships. And I'm pretty much talking about the ones close to you. Family, friends, important people in your life. But you know that no matter what, the relationship's just always been what it's been. One constant in living on earth is change. Growth. We naturally grow, sometimes for the better, sometimes not, but we grow, we go through experiences, we change as people. Our relationships should grow and change too. The connection or the feeling that binds us may not really change, and it may. A great connection could turn poor, could be broken. So the things that bind us, the love, may or may not change, but the relationship should change. We do evolve and grow and fluctuate as people, and our relationships do too.
Although I do think some people change at a quicker pace than others, and some people are super resistant to change.
Ain't that the
and
truth?
They want to just keep everything the same at all times. And so it's about trying to navigate that as well, because it's really difficult if you're changing really fast and someone's like, no, I need it to be the same.
Well, and I think if you're getting a lack of support for your growth from your family and friends, one of the things, and Emily's hitting on it, is the pattern of who you've been is more comfortable for them than who you are potentially becoming. Quite often, we as humans like what we know and what is comfortable. And like we were talking before, even if that's kind of a bad experience, even if it's the downs instead of the ups, if you're more comfortable with those and you know those, then you can settle in that. And I think this is kind of at play here, that one of the reasons you may not be getting that support is you're changing, and it is uncomfortable for other people that have always known you in a certain light. So they can be resistant to support that change.
Yeah, and I mean, some people are just predispositioned to misunderstand you. They just don't get you, they don't want to get you, and they're not going to try to get you. And that could be some sort of karma that the two of you have together, that you made some sort of agreement to not like each other or not to get each other and just refuse to try. Or they could be an asshole too. That could just be how their soul is. So it may not be attached to a past life thing, but it could be.
If you're not feeling that support with others, that you could have had experiences in your past and carried over a belief that, I never get supported. Someone else is always more important than me. These kinds of thought forms or beliefs can carry over as well. And that could be a reason why your relationship with others isn't changing.
Or you were taught from a young age to betray yourself.
Yeah, that actually happens a lot in our society.
Like, oh, you don't feel like hugging that person? Well, you need to be kind. You need to say hello to this person. You need to be respectful. And you're like, but they give me the heebie-jeebies. I don't want to. But you're taught that, well, you got to be kind. Or that's not even really kind. You got to be polite.
Yeah.
Don't embarrass me.
I was going to say, respect your elders. And I'm like, on the surface value, I get that. But I think respect is a reciprocal thing. If an elder's not giving it, do they really deserve your respect? But then you're being forced to betray yourself and how you feel on what your experience is like with somebody, to just treat them good or respect them just because they're older than you.
Or allow them to touch you when it doesn't feel comfortable or right.
I mean, that's right back to like the hug thing too. Yeah.
Yeah. And the last one I think is an important thing to just kind of bring up, that some people will internalize your growth as something is wrong with them. Like, how dare you do something different when I'm over here doing it this way, and what the hell? I mean, we watched a movie the other night, and the dad had a barbecue shop, and the son really wanted to be a master sommelier. And the dad was like, well, I gave up everything to do this because my dad passed it on to me, and you need to do the same. And the boy was just like, but this is what I love. I love wine. I love talking about wine. And I mean, the dad ended up coming around and realizing, due to some of the mother's words. But yeah, I think that dad expected him to give up everything he wanted because that's what he did for his dad.
It's the way it's always been done. Doesn't mean it's right for you though, right?
Yeah, but he took it as like an attack on him.
Yes, he did.
That he did something wrong when, he may have felt like he was stuck in it because his dad kind of forced him into it, but...
Someone else's dream doesn't have to be your dream. Even if it's the familial lineage and it's the way it's always been done. We are unique beings, every one of us. We've chosen the scenario for a reason, to learn from, to grow, to have that experience. But ultimately, only you know what is right for you. But there's definitely, people can take your actions or your things and make it about themselves. Mm-hmm. That definitely happens.
Oh, yeah.
There could be a karmic bond there as well between you two, and, their job is to try to keep you in place, to give you resistance that you have to overcome. Know that your growth is only about you, and it's what you want and your soul wants, and to move forward with or without their support.
Yes, and try to be okay with being misunderstood, because you can't really completely understand another, because you're only understanding them from your perceptions and your point of view. And that's the same with other people. They can only understand you from their own perceptions, their own point of view. And so you can explain and defend and try to phrase things in all different amounts, but if they don't want to understand you, they're not going to. They're not going to ask the questions. They're not going to listen.
Oh yeah, that's huge. You'll know who wants to understand you because they're going to ask questions. They're going to try to understand. They're going to make an effort.
Yeah.
They're not just going to make assumptions based on one thing you said one time and hold that as your truth forever. No. People that support you are going to make an effort to get to know you. You know who I'm talking about. You've probably got both in your life. People that make an effort and people that don't to understand you. Yeah.
People that make an effort and people that you feel crazy because you're still trying to explain yourself to them. Just let it go.
If I could just say it just right for them, though, baby, they'd understand me.
Oh my gosh, I've gone through that so many years. I'm like, oh wow, it's so much more liberating to just be okay with being misunderstood. Sometimes it's hard.
Yes, it can be hard, but stand in your truth.
Yes, be okay with letting that go.
All right, so this last one's a bit of a doozy, but sign number 5, that you have past life karma in your life, a hangover of some sort, is that you've experienced trauma in your lifetime. And it could be one big traumatic event. It could be something that happened over and over that was traumatizing to you. This could be young in your childhood, in your teens, in your adult years. I mean, it doesn't really matter when, but if you've experienced things that have truly been traumatic for you, that is a surefire sign that there is karma there in your life from past lives. That is wanting to be, you came to experience it. And that, for me personally, with my childhood stuff, that was the toughest pill to swallow for me, was not to admonish what happened to me by others, but to realize I came for that experience. If I was going to heal my own karma and become a cycle breaker in my family's ancestral lineage, I had to have that experience. So I was able to find empowerment for myself. On the other side of these experiences and awareness can be healing and balance and empowering energies as well. But it can be a tough pill to swallow that our soul chose a scenario to bring about the opportunity for healing the karma or for cycle breaking ancestral karma. Quite often these traumatic events or scenarios to give you the opportunity to balance karma in your life. Something from a soul perspective that we actually get into with our soul journey, Akashic readings. And we'll kind of check on past life roles that we've taken on and repeatedly, but victim perpetrator lifetimes. They don't come up all the time, but it is something that comes up. And it is a method that our souls will use for learning. You know, it kind of puts you into the extremes of the duality to play the victim, and you'll then play the perpetrator, or vice versa. You don't really just learn from one perspective here. So depending on what has happened in your life that's been traumatic, and this could be you've traumatized yourself because of something you did to somebody, and you can't find forgiveness for yourself. Because you could be in, your soul could have chosen a victim perpetrator lifetime, and you're on the receiving end or the giving end of that in this life. Talking about these things doesn't mean that other people aren't responsible for their actions in these events. It's just trying to highlight that sometimes these events are necessary if we're going to have something to heal from. We need a reason to heal, to bring balance. If you can heal your karma and bring balance to yourself and get awareness before you have to experience an event, way more power to you. That you have done the self-work and become aware before you actually had to draw the event in to experience. And I think that is possible as well as we're growing as souls, that we could make that shift, absolutely. There's nothing, even things that we might like to think of as fated or our soul chose it. If we shift the energy that is attracting that future thing in our life, that event that could be traumatic or could be amazing or whatever this is, if we shift who we are, then the attraction changes. If we balance the karma, then the karmic energy that needs the experience is no more, and now you're free to magnetize a different experience to you.
Yeah, well said, baby.
So I know that last one's, we said it before, a tough pill to swallow. Some of these scenarios are when we're dealing with karma, when we're dealing with traumatic events. As someone who's been through the ringer myself, I know there are a lot of us that are very brave, that are here. And I would just challenge you not to focus on the event or what happened to you, and to find the awareness in what it means, and to seek balance or healing.
Focus on your strength, your resilience.
Focus on the growth potential, on the other side of this, on the transformation that can come, on the personal empowerment that can be achieved, how your life can shift for the better. I'm living proof, and there's hundreds of thousands and millions of us that are living proof.
Yeah.
It's not a rare thing to transform your life for the better, from something that sucked into something that fucking rocks.
I love hearing inspiring stories. In fact, if you have an inspiring story, let us know. Give us an email and let us know your inspiring story of transformation. We would super much dig hearing those.
We love it. That's why I always put the email in the show description. It'll be there once again, per usual. For those of you that have been enjoying Emily and I's Soul Vibe Insights podcast, and like how we just get authentic and raw and share our personal experiences about intuition, soul energy, healing, what the Akashic records are like. We're just going to keep going. We love doing this. We love being able to share our experiences.
Yes, we do.
The most awesome thing you could do for us, share your energy with us, is by telling somebody that you think would like our podcast too. Share it with them.
Yeah, we would be super grateful.
Text your friend a link to one of our shows. We would love to expand our reach and connect with even more like-minded, amazing souls like yourself. All right, well, I think we're done here today.
Yeah, I think we've covered all the points. We really are grateful for everyone who's listened to today's show. And if you are experiencing any of these signs that you have past life karma, we are offering 50% off of our past life spiritual regressions, for a few weeks of this month and then next month as well. And we would just be honored to help guide you through healing these karmic experiences in your life and help make major shifts in your life.
It's wild what can happen when you bring balance to your karma and you find healing. It is wild what can change in your life. I'm living proof. And there are a plethora of stories online. But Emily and I have definitely, these last couple of shows, been offering the healings and learnings that we have gone through and gained and how it's transformed our lives. We are big believers in the power of past life regression and spirit guide meetings. So if that's of interest to you, just send us an email and we will send you the code and a link to book with one of us.
Yeah, we are very grateful for you listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, y'all. Much love, soul friends.